fifth dimension. Aquarius I am. We in the Aquarius age for the next 2,000 years, you dig?
Swing low, time to move on. Light years in time, ahead of our time.
I want to free your mind by helping you understand the zodiac signs. That's right, you're live with Aquaman in the zodiac zone where the cosmos is your home. I'm your very own Anpu, the real urban guru, coming through on the mothership. So let's open up your cosmic memory bank and swing down to earth where the shit stain. Hey, peace everybody. Welcome to Hip Hop Astrology TV, man. I'm your host, Anpu, the real urban guru. So today, man, I'm definitely getting off that mothership. I want to talk about something that's really dear to me, a conversation that I've been sitting on for quite some time. I'm not going to reveal it in its entirety because this is really a conversation that we have to have amongst a certain group of people. But nevertheless, I want to kind of touch on the surface of something. Today's conversation is entitled Jay Electronica Erykah Badu and the Glory of God. Inspired by last night, I was on Instagram live with DJ Khaled, the keys, keep telling you, and Jay Electronica came through. So when he came through, I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and drop this information. Jay Elect is a very special person, right? Anytime a person is a star, they have a certain degree of magnetism, hence they're in the limelight, right? So that's a special person. Born September the 19th, 76 in New Orleans. New Orleans is a magical city. Every city has its own vibration. New Orleans vibration is that of magic. It's the cradle of hoodoo, the voodoo culture, the African spirituality culture. It's the place where you come to as a tourist that they're going to take you to graveyards, right? This is that one show on Netflix, I think it's called The Coven. Angela Bassett plays Marie Laveau and whatnot. This is that New Orleans flow. Well, if you understand earth sciences and locations, then you know that New Orleans is about 29 degrees, 57 minutes north of the equator, but so is the Great Pyramids and Sphinx in Egypt. 29 degrees, 57 minutes north of the equator. So they're in the exact same location on the earth. If you left New Orleans, travel east over the Atlantic Ocean, you would run smack dab into the pyramids, not deviating 1 mile north or south. You'll run smack dab into the pyramids. So that means New Orleans is the counterbalance to what we call Eastern Hemisphere of the magical African capitals of spirituality. New Orleans is literally on the map. New Orleans is the balance point to that. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that. In fact, let's look at it. Here's a picture from myself that I took. We took in New Orleans on a trip in 2014. We held a equinox trip in 2014, and we was with a Pisces, super duper intuitive. Pisces is a sign of intuition. That's Erykah Badu, right? So the sign of intuition. So my folks is telling my partner, hey, snap the picture now, snap. And then we captured this picture right here, which is one of my favorite pictures of all time, the ghost bike. There's a lady riding a bike down Bourbon Street, clearly still in human form. I'm telling you something. New Orleans is so magical and so dope that as time progresses, these people are going to materialize back into this reality. I know that may seem far-fetched for you, but if you can pay attention and you see what's going on, a lady is riding a freaking bike with a bag in the basket. It only takes a matter of what we call time for things to really congeal. But nevertheless, she's still in this particular reality partaking on it, but on a different timeline of existence. Okay, I told you, you got to understand this parallel reality. So when I talk about New Orleans, I'm not talking about folklore. I'm not talking about a picture that I went to go Google image. I'm talking actual experiences when we were there. This is what we captured. So the source material is with us, with the experience of New Orleans. Okay, I want to be very clear on that. All right. And so New Orleans is this magical place. This magical child, Jay Electronica, is born September the 19th, 1976. And on the exact same day that he's born in the East, in Iran, there's a city, the capital city, Tehran. There was known as the 1976 UFO incident, where a UFO was in the sky and fighter jets approached the UFO. And as they approached this UFO, their communication systems and weapon systems got locked up. And when they disengaged and went away from it, then their systems came back online. In other words, there was a superior technology that was there on the record that jammed up modern day fighter jets technology. This happened on the day Jay Electronica was born. He mentioned it in one of his rhymes. Okay, now when you go simply Wikipedia this stuff, it checks out on a day. Now, the reason I'm saying the glory of God in my title is because I want to show you how magnificent the Creator is. So Jay Electronica is just a little child who's born. He didn't per se come into the world out of the womb saying, yeah, on this day that I know that I'm born, a UFO is going to appear. He will have to find that out later as he progresses as a human being. But as he progresses as a human being, he then goes into a school of thought called the Nation of Islam. This is going to be very, very, very important because we're going to get into the glory of God here. So at this time, I have to give my shout outs to a dear teacher to me, Mother Tanetta Muhammad, who made transition. And we know that her work was predicated upon, her column was predicated upon mathematics. Her column in the Final Call newspaper is called Unveiling the Number 19. I won't get too in depth with her at this particular time. That's part of the subject matter that the conversation that needs to be held with certain people. But we're going to have to understand why she made transition, when she made transition. That's a very important conversation and piece of the puzzle, which has a lot to do with Earth grid locations, a few of them right here in North America that deal with a great influx of energy. Okay. So Jay Elect gets to the Nation of Islam, and the Nation of Islam has within its theology a teaching called the mother wheel. And on this mother wheel, you can call it a big UFO, and within it, baby UFOs, baby planes, but baby UFOs will come out of it. This is in the teaching. So I just want to look at the glory of God for a moment, and I want you to step back and look at it from the eyes of God that says, wait a minute. A whole system was created. This theology was brung to North America in the early 30s. Jay Electronica come 40 years later, right? And the day that he arrives via birth, there is a phenomenon that is occurring on the other side of the world that mirrors the theology that Jay Electronica will later grow into another 10, 20 years later. I don't know what time he got knowledge of self, but we can easily say probably a good almost 20 years later, right? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Just so Jay Elect can see the power of his own self and the divinity of what he stepped into. Where does Badu come into all of this? Well, the Nation of Islam, we're taught that Master Fard Muhammad, the founder of the Nation of Islam, birthday is February 26th. That's the same birthday as Erykah Badu. So now, Jay Electronica, again, will be born on the day that UFOs appear. He will later grow up 20 years later and find a nation of Islam that has the theology about that's going to validate an experience of world history at this particular point, an event that actually happened on his birthday. And he's going to be attracted and have a child with a woman who is the cosmic embodiment of the same birthday of the founder of the theology that supports and validates his higher thinking. Come on. Do you really think that is a mere coincidence? That's not. But mathematically, I keep saying it. It is when two things coincide, it's like an eclipse. When the moon goes in front of the sun, that's an eclipse. At that particular point, it's blocking out the light of the sun. Two things are coinciding, it's lining up. We are taught that Islam is mathematics. Mathematics is Islam. It stands true. Right? We can test this thing. We were given a science of planets, its location, its preciseness, the weight of planets. This whole thing has been measured by the science of the gods. Real talk. Real talk. Now, this ain't no different than an Egyptian culture who comes and build pyramids, and they pointing at certain celestial bodies. Ain't no different than South America coming with pyramids, and they got something called the Pyramid of the Moon and the Pyramid of the Sun. Ain't no different than other South American temples called the Temple of the Magician. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't no different than the North American edifices that we have right here in our own backyard that many people do not know about, called Native American mound structures, which are heavily induced with spiritual energy. Okay? And so I just wanted to show y'all that real fast, dealing with Jay Electronica. It ain't no coincidence. His relationship with Badu, it is the glory of the creator. Okay? So in a nutshell, know thyself. Get on this science. The science that's about enhancing the light of your soul. And there are many paths, and I don't even want to digress and get into these many different paths. I just found one, and I like this particular one because it explains reality very, very clear. And you have the ability to measure the future. That's the dope part about it. You have the ability to measure the future, and then the future will start to, you start to see a certain environment and say, okay, it'd be best if we do X, Y, Z in a sense, right? To get the best out of this future scenario up here. All right. So I just wanted to share that with you. Hey man, myastrologycoach.com. All right. Get with me. Share with a friend for sure. Share with a friend and whatnot. And that's it. All right. Peace.
Prophecy is what we all have to go by now.